In this problem, we are asked to figure out the model using a sine function based off of information that the low tide, in this period of 12 hours, the low tide of 3 feet occurred at 5 a.m. So at 5 a.m., we had a low tide of 3, and the high tide was 7 feet. From this information, we can ascertain that D, our average value, is given by 5 feet, or halfway between the high and the low. We can also then ascertain that our amplitude A is given by 2 feet, or 2, because the maximum deviation from the average value to the high tide and low tide is 2 units. We are now ready to figure out B. If we know that our period is equal to 12 hours, this 12 hours is given by 2 pi over B. Solving for B, we get 2 pi over 12, or B is equal to pi over 6. Lastly, we want to look at our phase shift. So one way we could look at our phase shift is if we looked at the original sine function, going from 0 to 2 pi, we want to know what happened to the location of the starting value, or where I'm at my average value of 0 and the sine function is increasing. One thing that we will notice is that low tide and high tide are occurring 6 hours apart. We know this because our period of 12 hours, if we take 12 hours and divide it by 4 equal-sized pieces, we would know that every 3 hours we would go through one of those critical points. Therefore, at 5 a.m. we have low tide. 3 hours later at 8 a.m. we have our average value, or a tide of 5 feet. And then 3 hours later at 11 a.m. we have our high tide of 7 feet. We are now ready to look at our graph. We were trying to find that point in which the average value of 0 got shifted so that the function is increasing through that average value. That would give us this point right here at time t equal to 8 and a tide of 5 feet. Therefore, our phase shift, we move to the right 8 units, or a phase shift is equal to plus 8. Therefore, we know that the opposite of C over B has to be equal to plus 8, or the opposite of C over B is given by 8, where B is pi over 6. Multiplying both sides by pi over 6, multiplying it by the negative so we can solve for C, we are going to see that C is equal to 8 pi over 6, or 4 pi over 3, negative 4 pi over 3. Therefore, we have all our pieces to put our function together. Y is equal to A, which is 2, sine of B, which is pi over 6, t minus 4 pi over 3 plus 5. We can indeed check to see if this is right. When we plug in 8, we're going to get pi over 6 times 8, which is 4 pi over 3. Subtracting 4 pi over 3 is 0. Sine of 0 is 0. 2 times 0 gives me 0. Therefore, my y value should be 5. Another way we could have wrote this is by recognizing that we could put what's in parentheses in factored form. If I would put it in factor form, I could recognize my value for C as t minus 8. When I distribute that pi over 6 through, pi over 6 times t gives me pi over 6. Pi over 6 times negative 8 indeed gives me 4 pi over 3. I could have kept this in either form.